Yo, welcome back to another live stream of yours truly. Feeling the lion background today. Could always switch it up here. You want more of a synthwave party going on, but tone it down. Talk about today, which is you don't choose your purpose. You choose whether or not you live your purpose. Right? You don't choose your calling. You don't choose who you are. You choose how you live. You choose how you are. You don't choose who you are. You don't choose your family. Choose how you interact with your family. You choose how to engage with your family, right? There's so many things that, right, there's the immense power of choice, and we all have free will and free choice, and yet there's a lot of things that we don't choose. You don't choose your genetics. You do choose the expression of those genetics, right? Your choices shape the expression of your genetics, but you don't choose your genetics, right? So back to calling and purpose is the same. Like, do you choose your? Do you just? Is it a worksheet where you like you define, create your ideal future kind of thing? And I'm all about defining your future, but if you're gonna treat it like now you get to choose your ideal. No, your ideal future is going to be the only one that's really ideal is the one that is in alignment with your purpose and calling. If it's anything else, it will be disappointing. It won't be ideal, right? It'll be disappointing. It'll be unfulfilling. It'll be empty and sad. And then life becomes empty and sad. So we make a choice whether we're going to pursue our purpose and calling or not. But we don't choose what that purpose and calling is. And I look at those really as the same thing. Your calling calls to you across time and space. Your purpose is what you are meant to achieve, but more importantly, who you are meant to become. Right? And then you have your current self, you have your present self. And in this present moment is when you make the decisions that are going to shape your future and shape your destiny. Right? Not alter what you are meant to do, but determine whether you become and achieve that or not. So that's our choice, right? Our choice is, and a choice, if you wonder, like, well, how do I know if I made a decision? Well, did you act on it? That's simple. If you didn't take an action, you didn't decide anything, right? You don't say, I'm going to play basketball and never pick up a basketball. Then it's not a decision. It's just an intention. And that's nice, but it doesn't do anything. So intentions have to be laid aside, or have to find their fulfillment through action. Right? Otherwise, it's just a vague intention that's never acted upon, and it just becomes kind of this guilty burden that we carry with us through our life, thinking, I'd like to, I wish I would, I want to, but do you do it? So the question then becomes, when do you act? Well, you act when the ball is in your hands. You don't wait to pursue your purpose. You don't wait to live your destiny, your calling. You act when the time is now. When is the time now? When the ball is in your hands. How do you know when the ball is in your hands? The ball is in your hands, right? That's how you know. If you're feeling the pull, you're feeling the call directly in the realm of what I do, which is help coaches launch and sell a high ticket coaching offer, right? Which is really an extensive and deep work, because to do that, you've got to work on yourself. You've got to up level who you are and adopt a high ticket mindset and confidence level before you can even sell next level coaching packages, which you already have the potential to. It's a matter of realizing that potential through clear and focused action, which is the result of a true decision, which ultimately has to do with pursuing your calling and purpose. And that's key for coaches, because if you feel the call, then the ball is in your hands. And then it's time to take a shot. If you sit there on the sidelines with the ball in your hands and wait because you're worried, well, if I take the shot, what if I miss? 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 Am I going to make it a perfect shot? Is somebody going to criticize me? What if I miss? What if I miss? And we get paralyzed by our fear. And that's a tragedy, because when you're paralyzed by your fear, you're not living, period. And you're definitely not living your purpose and calling. You're living, I don't know, anxiety and fear, which is a prison. I'm not criticizing you if you're struggling with it. Please understand, right? I speak to this because I know what the situation's like. I had to conquer this in myself and support clients in conquering the same thing. It's what I'm good at more than anything else. And on top of that, really good at just putting the practical systems in place to make it happen. But the number one question for a coach is, are you gonna take the shot? Are you gonna sit on the sideline and wait and wonder what would it be like if I took the shot? What would it be like if I made the shot? Well, what if I miss? What if I miss? Right? That's the paralyzing fear. And the interesting thing is when you if and when you miss, because we all miss shots all the time, you just get another shot. It's not like, I mean, this is a place where you got to visit. What is your worldview? What is your view of God? Are you projecting all kinds of, do you think he's sick and sadistic and up there going, well, if you miss your shot, you're not getting another one. I only gave you one ball, so you better make your shot. I mean, that would just be that would be just cruel and nasty. But the reality is, if you look around at it, we take shots and we miss them all the time. And what happens? Well, you get another shot, right? And you just keep taking shots till you make it. And when you make it, it's really nice and satisfying. And then you realize, wow, if I can make that shot, I may as well play on a bigger level. And that's really another thing that I stand for is play big, think bigger, play bigger, right? There's no point in limiting yourself, because we're the limiting factor. But your purpose, I'm sure, is big, and it probably scares you, as it should. And that's where the fear comes up. It's like, oh, yeah, sounds cool, because of course it pulls on your heart, and you're going to be like, yeah, that feels right. It sounds right. It's everything I want to do and achieve is live our purpose and call. That's what Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's like fulfillment at the top. What's fulfillment? Well, fulfillment is fulfilling your purpose, right? Fulfilling, like living your gifts, your talents, etc. So how do you share your gifts? You live your purpose. How do you live your purpose? You share your gifts. They go hand in hand. They're one and the same thing on a certain level. And you are already very particularly and especially, designed to accomplish what you are meant to accomplish. You're never going to be given a calling that you can't do. But you will be given a calling that is way outside your comfort zone. You will be given a calling and a purpose that is going to challenge you deeply, right? And that challenge is going to bring up a lot of fear. And that's the place where coaches have to be real with themselves. Everybody has to be real with themselves. If you're not being real with yourself, you're never going to move anywhere. You have to be real with yourself and recognize fear is holding me back. I'm afraid of making the shot because I'm afraid to miss the shot. And why am I afraid to miss the shot? Well, because limiting beliefs. Excuse me. That's all that comes up, right? The reason we're afraid to miss the shot is just because of limiting beliefs, because we think somehow I'm never going to get the ball. That when you go bowling and you get a gutter ball and then just another one pops up out of that thing, the dispenser or whatever, you always get another shot. It's like an endless game of bowling. You can and you just keep going. You just keep going, and eventually, and you just get better and better and better every day. But that's the decision. So back to this point, you don't choose your purpose, but you damn well choose whether you're going to pursue your purpose or not, right? And the opposite choice of that, the not choice, is to lay there and just do nothing, or to try to take, I don't know, the reasonable, rational approach to life, which is to do what's safe, to do what society tells you, because your purpose and calling is going to be out there in the unknown, and that's the place where most people go, oh, that's not safe. Don't do that. We don't know how to do. Well, of course you don't know how to do that. Look at Abraham, was called unto a land I will show you, as God says to him, right? Moses, when he's called by God, Moses actually pushes back saying, you've got the wrong man, because he's called to do something that's really uncomfortable and way outside his comfort zone. And then he keeps, but yet God still chose him. Right. And so that's another thing when we look at our calling and our gifts, it's not there to make us proud and egotistical and mechanically, so like just fundamentally at the core of this, you don't need to be afraid of that. And I was saying that because I know that that's been another thing that's held me back in the past, is the worry and the fear of becoming proud. If I share my gifts, I might get proud. You know what I mean? Well, it's not my gift. It's was given, first of all, it was given to me. And second of all, it's not meant for me to keep. It's meant to be given. So when you're sharing your gifts, you become a vessel. You become a conduit of that which is so much greater than you. And that's where a lot of the fear and the uncertainty and the discomfort comes in, is because it requires you to step outside of the old comfort zone, which is the old identity, and you can't put new wine into old wineskins. So unless you are willing to be reborn as a person, as your on the level of your identity, right, and let go of the old construct of who you think you are and what you think is possible and reasonable for you, you can't step into your purpose and calling, which is so much greater than any of that. It's so much more than any of the past experience. That's why it takes faith. That's why it's always a leap of faith, because faith is to launch out into the unknown and to believe in what you cannot yet see. Right? Otherwise, that's what, yeah, faith is hope in things unseen. Quite simple. Right? So, I mean, if you already knew it, there would be no need for faith. And if it was all known, life would really be boring. Because there's so many times, and I'm guilty of this, of wishing that, well, I just knew how everything was going to work out right before launching. Like right now, relaunching, essentially, I'm launching a new program, High Ticket Coach. It's a culmination of the work I've been doing over the last several years, working with clients privately and in other group formats, and now launching something that's unlike anything in the past. And it's a whole nother level. It's so much better than all other work I've done in the past. And yet it's unknown. It's scary. It just is. Right? So I'm walking the walk right along with anybody and everybody else. And I think if you're not scared, you're not aiming big enough. You're not aiming high enough. Right? Your purpose and your calling are going to scare you because they're greater than you. They're bigger than you. And that's going to demand of you to step outside your current identity. That's the thing. That's why there's so much pain in entrepreneurship or in growth, is because we look at it and we go, wow, I've got this big vision. Yeah, I want to impact the world. I want to help other people because I know what it's like to suffer. And I found a way through, and I don't want to see other people suffering with fill in the blank, whatever it is, whether that's, life coaching, relationships, it's physical, it's fitness, health, or it's business. It's like on the soft to hard skill spectrum, and anywhere in between, and all of it is insanely valuable and transformational. Wherever it is, I'm just speaking to the general experience of coaches. We usually are coaches because we've lived through something that's given us experience, expertise, and compassion, right? And a drive and a sense of, yeah, I've been through this. I want to help other people get through this. I want to help a lot of people, right? Big picture vision. And we're like, but yeah, right. But self-limitation. How's that working out for you? You know what I mean? Like, let's be real. How's that work? Oh, I got this big vision. I want to help a bunch of people and live a life of freedom. But self-limitation. I'm going to try to sell some low-ticket membership thing, or just sell cheap, by the session, or like, no. It's time for you to expand as the person that you are. That's the choice. Every moment, every day is a crossroads. It's a choice where either we double down on our commitment to our purpose and our calling and make a decision to live in alignment with that, or we choose the fear, which feels like an out, but it's really just complacency. We choose to somehow settle. Right? Everything is a sale. That's why when we struggle with the idea of high ticket sales or sales in general, it's like, well, everything is a sale because a sale is simply a facilitation of choice. And so when we choose something, we've been sold on it. So this idea to like settle for mediocrity, for a mortgage and a paycheck, and and working 9 to 5 to build somebody else's vision, that's just no thank you. Right? That's not in alignment with who I am and what my purpose is at all. And I've tried it because at different times in the past, because I felt like the struggle of, well, maybe I'm not meant to, maybe I'm being egotistical and proud and like all this nonsense head trash that gets in the way, and really is just a mask for fear. Launch out into the unknown, to take a bet on yourself instead of taking a bet on the security of some form of other organization or corporation that doesn't even have security after all, as it turns out so many times over, as people are getting laid off, right? But somehow that story has permeated our society and has gotten mass buy-in, and so then it has social proof bias behind it. not even proof, but just social bias of like, herd think mentality. Why my camera's all glitchy? Sorry about that. Um, but right, but that's the thing. It's just like, well, yeah, you to bet on yourself to pursue your own purpose and vision and calling is contrary to the norm, and you're going to get a lot of pushback internally and externally. The external pushback doesn't matter unless you allow it to matter. That's another choice, right? Other people's opinions don't mean anything to me, and they shouldn't mean anything to you, right? Until I allow them to. That's the to be clear. Trying to say they never mean. Well, no, of course. Then there's certain people whose opinions mean a great deal to me, but very few, because the majority, just their opinions don't matter. The old friends from way back when who want to come out of the woodwork and criticize me when I'm starting to make moves don't matter, right? Because they chose a life of complacency and fear. And so they're threatened and uncomfortable when they see me pursuing my purpose and calling and making bold moves. That's all it is. And you're going to get the same pushback, or you already are. When you take courageous steps, the people that have chosen fear will push back on you because you're making them uncomfortable, because you're reminding them that they settled. There's nothing else to it. That's it. And so then your choice, your decision is, do you choose your purpose or not? Which is, do you take action to continue, or do you succumb to the pressure of the peer groups? And sometimes it's people that you care deeply about, and that's painful. It's up to you to continue. And that's why the path of entrepreneurship is a lonely and difficult path at times. It's a very challenging path, is because you are creating something new, right? You're stepping into the unknown, even though it's been done so many times. Every time it's new, right? Like, again, for me in this situation, I said, well, I've launched multiple programs in the past, multiple group programs, and I've always done well and had good results and great results, right? Clients have loved the program. I've sold clients, and it's multiple clients every time at a launch, and yet it's entering the unknown once again, right? And so it never won't be, I don't think, because the moment that I'm in the known, well, then I'm complacent. I'm no longer growing, right? If I'm just comfortable with the way things are, then that's a sign that something's got to change. If I'm getting comfortable, I'm getting complacent. Well, it's time to up level the vision, which a vision is a subset of purpose and calling. Is the way that I break it down, right? Your vision is, well, what are you moving towards? What's your mission? Your vision, your mission, all that. Well, your goals that all fall as a subset of this, but ultimately it comes down to this question of alignment, which is, who am I and what am I meant to do? What am I meant to accomplish? Um, which is the question of purpose. So you don't choose your purpose, you discover your purpose. And that's a choice right there. Do you do the work to discover your purpose, which is a lot of introspection, self-reflection, etc., or do we just kind of, I don't know, make it up or try to override it because we just like, I want to choose this because that's what I want right now. Well, if you get what you think you want, it's not always going to turn out to be what you really needed and wanted, right? What your deep part of your being wants and desires. And a lot of times the beauty of it is also more about who you're becoming in the process, right? Than just the achievement of some kind of a goal. So your purpose really comes down to, how are you impacting and serving others more than anything else, right? So if you make your purpose about like some form of tangible reward, that's a milestone along the way. There's nothing wrong with that. But the real purpose is, how am I impacting the lives of others? And so the way that you sit with that is start to ask yourself, well, what am I really here to do? What problem do I want to solve in the world, right? How do I want to be remembered? That's always a powerful one, because a lot of times we just think, oh, I've got time, right? A lot of time we think, I've got time. Yeah, think I've got time. Like, we treat today like it's just like it's always going to be here, as in day and time and all these people that we know. And sometimes we get these harsh reminders that time is limited. It's your most precious resource. And the way that we utilize that resource is through decision and choice, which manifests as action. So if there is no action, you've not made a decision, period. challenge me on that all you want, but it's just the truth, right? And if you haven't act, well, then your decision was was indecision, right? And one of the ways that's put is indecision is a decision to fail. Sure, right? I mean, I think it's indecision is a decision of cowardice, is a commitment to fear, right? Decision is a commitment to courage, and how do you know if you have courage? Well, you act. You know, nobody has courage by sitting around and thinking, oh yeah, I'd be brave, I would be, right? You know, no, it shows itself naturally when the time is now. How do you know when the time? You'll know when the time is now. It just quite simply. But if you've waited for the time, waited for the opportunity and haven't prepared the opportunity, it's too late. The opportunity will just pass you by. So the preparation is the key. How do we prepare? Well, we take action. What are we going to do? How do we sit with it? How do we reflect on it? How do we, right? You prepare for when the opportunity comes, because the opportunity will come. Comes back to so much of this is world, people. I mean, right? And a lot of times we're afraid to make the shot, maybe because we've just never practiced. But how do you practice? Well, you take a shot. Like really, take a shot. Well, because there's always more balls. You're always going to have more shots. Now that doesn't mean you put, like I don't know, you don't just go out there and again, to my point, preparation is key. You don't get on stage and try to speak to a crowd of 1,000 people if you don't even know what you're talking about and haven't talked to one person, right? So of course there's preparation and we build up to that moment. But that's my point is when that opportunity comes and says somebody comes to you and says, hey, I've got a crowd of 1,000 people that want to hear a good message, right? But if you're prepared, it's yes, now is the time, right? So the ball is in your hands, regardless of whether the opportunity is present here and now or not. Well, let me rephrase that. The opportunity is always here and now. What form of opportunity? Is it that big event? Excuse me. Or is it simply the opportunity to act and pursue what is meaningful and important to you? And by doing so, we make our purpose real, right? We realize our purpose. We realize that calling. And by realizing it, it also matters, right? We realize it because it matters. We choose it. We act upon it because it's meaningful and it matters. And by mattering to us, it materializes. It becomes matter. So there's so much behind the words that we throw around lightly on a day-to-day basis. But it's really just comes down to a serious contemplation of who am I, where am I going? And again, back to when it comes time to build your business, build your coaching offer, etc. If you don't know the answer to those questions, everything else is hard work. And so it's no wonder so many coaches are wondering, well, what's my niche? Who's my ideal client? I don't know. I want to help everybody. Well, you can't help everybody. So who do you help? I don't know. It's so hard to answer when you're not clear on a line. It's not even being out of alignment. It's just like, I'm not sure. It's like a map. Somebody gives you a map. Good luck. Well, where am I going? What's the destination? It's like the same thing. Somebody just hands you a car and says, bon voyage, right? Where are you going? You know? What's it? Seneca, I think, one of the Stoic philosophers. If a man knows not to which port he sails, no wind is favorable. Powerful quote and one to be taken serious. So the question for us as entrepreneurs and as coaches is, to what port do you sit? What is your end point? How do you know if you're winning? Right? How do you measure if you're being successful? Right? And of course, money's an easy one. Well, I'm making money, yeah, but how do you know on a deeper level? You can make lots of money and it's still not, and we can still not feel like a success. It happens all too often because money itself is still a currency. It's not the thing that we're after. It's a vehicle. just like all the rest. So you should make a lot. You should probably make more in your coaching business, and I can probably help you do that because that's part of what I'm good at. But it's a byproduct of the deeper work, and the deeper work is what creates the is what really matters. Is what's really going to instill deep motivation, inspiration, and drive. And so also when you're clear on where you're going, you can also be clear on what actions to take to move you forward. It's very simple in principle, right? We as human beings complicate the heck out of everything that we engage with. Productivity needs to be like this complicated routine and whole, like, no, it's just simple. You just focus on what matters. Do you know what matters? When you know where you're going, you'll know, okay, well, it'll become evident what steps to take to get there. It's the same as like when you're facing a problem, you're feeling stuck. You're not going to know the solution until you've gotten really clear on what the problem is. And I don't mean like what's the pain of the problem and like trying to, and definitely not by beating yourself up, but just by simply bringing more context, clarity, and awareness to what's not working. Right? It's simple in machines and in troubleshooting machinery. It was like that, which I used to do. Machinery and carpentry, like drawers and cabinets, all kinds of things. I've always been a good troubleshooter and repair person. In warranty inspections and repairs, ended up traveling the country with some of the gigs that I had for that because I was just really good at it and trustworthy. How? Well, because I would just sit and feel out and bring awareness and clarity and patience to finding, okay, what is the actual problem here? But to know that too, you need to know, well, how should it work? Right? So we should know, here's how it should be working. Here's what's happening now, and then you can figure out how. So that is an analogy, an example of, when you're really clear on which port you sail to, you can be clear on which winds are favorable, which really just comes down to your productivity and, getting the right things done. Because it's one thing to just be busy all the time and say you're hustling and just spinning in circles, right? Hamsters in a hamster wheel, they run really fast. Do they get anywhere? No. But man, do they run fast, right? There you go. There's hustle culture for you. Let's get in that wheel. I'm gonna run faster than anybody else. Yeah. Oh yeah. Right. Who cares? Right? I don't care how long you work. I don't care how many hours you put in. All I care about is it significant? Is it moving you forward? And the only way you're going to know if it's moving you forward is it in alignment with my purpose and calling? Right? And then you can amplify that by understanding here's where I'm gifted. Right? When I know where I'm gifted, I can stay away from that because then there's also the area where I'm not gifted, which is more like just absolute drudgery. We'll just stay the hell away from that area. Stop trying to do accounting if accounting is miserable for you. If you're bad at even keeping track of all the numbers and the data, don't beat yourself up. Just stay away from it. It's not anything wrong with you. You're just gifted in other areas. And once again, your purpose and calling will align perfectly with your gifts and talents. So the more you share your gifts and talents with others, the more you are living your purpose and calling. And the more you live your purpose and calling, the more you will share your gifts and talents with the world, which is how we find fulfillment. Coming back to how do you know when you've succeeded? For me, the rating is not in your, it's not in like I have financial goals, right? That's important, of course. I'm not pulling away from that, but I'm saying if you don't go beyond that, the financial goal itself is not as it's not really meaningful, right? So for me, the goals are twofold. Number one, most directly in the business is how many people, how many clients are seeing results. Not just how many clients am I bringing on, but how many clients are getting the result. Because my full commitment to anybody I bring on is to see the result of the particular program. With High Ticket Coach, it's to launch and sell your high ticket coaching offer. I support you until you've sold it, right? Generally within 90 days. If it takes longer, my commitment is to my client's result, right? And because that's what's important to me. I think that's what should be important anyway when we're coaches, is to see our clients get results. That's my argument here, is that's where your fulfillment's going to come from more than anything, is seeing the ahas, seeing, being able to, once again, share your gifts and see the impact, the positive impact in other people's lives, right? That's fulfilling. That's inspiring. So there's how many clients are seeing results, and then on other levels, other give back kind of rewards and goals and strategies, right? So just giving examples, but I mean, the number one thing being about living in alignment with purpose and calling. That's what gives great clarity to yourself personally. It amplifies your confidence, and it informs and amplifies the rest of your business. And it will I think inevitably will cause you to think bigger, to play bigger. And when you just simply play bigger, you get bigger results. I mean, it's just simple, but we as humans overcomplicate things. That's where I was going with. Business is simple. Humans are complicated, right? And your business is an extension of you, especially as a coach. But any business really, I can't think of a business that's not. I mean, these big mega corporations, I don't work with them. Maybe, and that's probably why I don't work with them, because I don't care for something that's soulless. I care for the people and the individuals that I work with and the mission behind their business. And seeing their financial rewards is a great metric of understanding that they are making an impact now. So that also is key. All right, I only work with people that actually can and want to make an impact. As it can, meaning that there's actual value, expertise, and experience to share, right? And the desire, well, that's intrinsic. If you don't have the desire, you would never be looking down the path anyway. So my admonition to you is just simply to act upon your desire, because that's your own heart calling out to you. It's not rational. We in the West have become too rational. We've become too sanitized and think that if it's not rational, it's not right, it's not right, it's not true. But there's so much more to truth than just what is right. There is also what is beautiful, and beauty is beyond specific definition, right? So all that to say, when you have a deep desire, your calling and your purpose are in your heart, not in your brain. Your brain does a good job of processing the past. Your heart knows the way to move into the future, the right way, what's going to be right for you. And that's what you need to be present to and listen to and act upon, right? That doesn't mean leap off a cliff, but it is a leap of faith regardless. You still have to take action into the unknown, right? Which is to get different results than the past, you have to take different action. So again, these principles are simple. It's the doing that is difficult, because we get in our own way. And that's the reason why the first phase of client work from me, of anybody I bring on, is always about the mindset. Because if you're not in alignment and if you don't have the mindset in place, all the rest of the work is difficult, because you have to learn how to get out of your own way and conquer your fear and remove limiting beliefs so that you can do what you need to do, what you long to do, what you desire to do, and which all too often and very sadly we prevent ourselves from doing. So listen to your heart, find a way to take action on it, right? Make that desire tangible, as in, what can I do today to move myself towards that? No matter how small, it becomes very significant and meaningful. So there you have it. If you're ready to go next level and you're interested in working with me, then send me a message, DM me, let's talk about that. If you want to hear more about the program and how my support works, the world-class support with a world-class program. It's just over the top, as in everything is step by step. Nobody is ever wondering what do I do next, because they have absolute one-on-one support from me through every step of the way, and clear processes and trainings and just showing you the path. Here's the steps to take. Your job is to take them, right? So if you're in that state of like, yeah, I want to do this, I just need to know what the heck to do. How do I make this happen? And that's the sweet spot. That's where we can make magic happen, is because you've got the expertise and the experience and the passion and the drive. I have a system that'll help you unpack that like nothing else and turn it into a high ticket offer, coaching offer that you can just feel so good about and sell without any kind of weird sleazy tactics or cold DMs or pitching, all that stuff. Just have simple systems in place so that you can reach more people, impact them more deeply and more profoundly, and make more money doing that. Because that's all results of high ticket coaching as compared to low ticket, which is just really a mill and a grind. All right, I'm not going to dive into that anymore today. Um, that's a wrap for today. So thanks.